Okay. Welcome back. I thought I would explain uh, where this video and the previous video, number 4, the HLI group build Black Pearl number 4, came from. Um, and where did episodes 1, 2, and 3 go? Um, Again, if you know my story, you know that my main channel was deleted by YouTube. Um, So all my videos were lost, including episodes 1, 2, and 3. Now I had uploaded video number 4 to the main channel, but it was also lost. However, I did happen to save that copy. I usually save a video until it actually goes live. I scheduled it for release for a week or two in advance, and I usually hold on to a video to make sure that the upload was good, and to make sure that you know people watching it aren't experiencing any trouble. That way, if something happens, I can delete the video and then re-upload or even re-edit the video. Um, but I happen to save video number 3, number 4, and of course I hadn't quite finished the editing on video number 5, this one that we're about to watch. So that's the story. That's why these videos still exist, and why episodes 1, 2, and 3 are no longer here for us to watch. So if you are wondering or questioning where those are, that's the story. Luckily, I hadn't gotten that far in the construction of the Black Pearl, so there's not a lot missing. Basically, you're missing the construction of the hull, the construction of the framework, so it's not really a lot there to miss. That being said, um, again, that's the reason why number 4 is missing. Number 4 is available, but the other 3 are missing. I think that's it. So enjoy episode number 5.
Okay, welcome back to video number 5. In the last video, of course, I talked about the mistakes I've made, and there have been plenty. To be fair, I'm putting a lot of the blame on this kit. While Victory and Halcon, while the instructions were seriously, they were terrible. In many ways, the instructions that came with this kit are superior. The problem is, in many ways, they're right on the same level as the instructions for those other 2 kits. The English translation is absolutely terrible. The instructions, in some ways, almost act like they don't belong to this kit. Like they belong to a different version of the Pearl. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Anyway, we are up to this point. I've got the cannon decks in. I still have decisions to make about cannons and the port doors and things like that. But we are on to planking, hull planking. Now, I did mention that I thought I would do the deck planking first, but I think I've decided I'm gonna do as the instructions lay it out. Now, it does mention in the instructions that I've lost the page already. Okay, after the deck is done, no, refer to the anyway. There's a mention in here of you can do the deck planking anytime. It doesn't have to be, in the order that they put it. Wish I could find that actually, but anyway, so I'm gonna start the planking, I think, in this video. I still have some decisions to make in that regard as well. Now, the instructions do actually talk about immersing planks in water for several minutes and using iron to basically bend them into shape. Now, I've never used that method. I've always sort of used a method. I believe it's called dry bending, where basically you're taking a tool, a special pair of pliers meant for this sort of work, and you're bending it and tearing the fibers without breaking the wood. I've always gotten pretty good results with that, so I'm going to try that first. Now, to be fair, I've never done it with this this is pretty thick planking. I feel like that's close to a millimeter, maybe 1.5 millimeters thick. It might even be 2 millimeters. I don't know. But it's very pliable. It's reasonably bendy. So I don't know, how well that'll go, but I thought I'd give it a try. Because it's a method I'm familiar with. I've used that method on, oh boy, 4, 5, 6 wooden kits. The method worked very well with Halcon, and with Victory. So I'll give that a shot first. If I feel like it's not working with this wood, I'll go on to using water and iron. Now I do have a wood burning kit with an iron tip in it, with a tip in it specific for that kind of thing. I've never used the method, and I'm afraid of trying it, to be honest. So, and I know Boiler Dan explained how it works, and again, I appreciate that. His videos are so very informative, but sometimes you just got to go with what you're familiar with, and I'm familiar with the method that I'm used to. So we'll go ahead and give that we'll get started. We'll give it a try with a piece or two of this planking, and we'll be back. Okay, well, that was a failure. First things first, what some of you might have noticed is I was dremeling out some of this. I actually know about doing this. I don't do it often on some of my kits, but I thought I'd do it this time because there is a lot of real estate here. So basically what you do is you're carving it down to give it more surface area for gluing when you actually bend the wood over that part of the rib. So there should be more surface area there for me to glue onto. In terms of the dry bending with my special pliers here, it's not tearing the fibers, it's breaking them. I mean, you can see what it's doing there. It's just, that method is not going to work. So I think I'm going to have to give the wet method a try. I think I'll give it a couple of attempts off camera just to sort of see where I stand. And then we'll come back and maybe sort of demonstrate a little bit. Maybe I'll do a little more research as well. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. So I went ahead and I did a little bit of testing of the different methods that I know of to do to bend the planks. Like that. I tried dry bending. I ended up with broken pieces. This is a very brittle wood. It's flexible, but you try bending it to extreme and it just snaps. I tried soaking in water and using an iron. This is a soldering iron / wood burning tool. I tried a couple different tips. This just happened to be the last one I was going to try. That does work. I was able to get 2 planks on up front here. Let me show those off. They'll be smoothed out eventually. But they worked with, at least for me, they worked with limited success. First try, burned myself bad. No, I say bad. I mean, it definitely discolored the fingerprint on my fingers. So I'm not against using that method. Just have to be very, very careful. These things are super hot. You don't want to burn yourself. But I was still breaking the fibers. It was still snapping in places. And I said, well, there must be a different way. I was going to try a method. I think Boiler Dan used it. I know I've seen other people use it, where they wrap the planks in a wet paper towel or wet cloth towel, and they nuke it for 30 seconds or a minute or something, and that steams and softens the wood. The problem is I don't have a microwave big enough to fit these long pieces of planking. So I thought to myself, why don't I try one more time wetting the wood first, like I did before, like the instructions recommend, like I did with the 2 planks on the front of the boat. And instead of using the hot iron, I use my the pliers I use specifically for bending planks. I use these specifically because they're wide and they have no teeth on the inside, so it leaves a smooth finish. And lo and behold, that so far is the best method. I get a nice smooth bend. There's no fiber tearing, no breaking. At least for this, test, it worked fine. So I think I'm going to continue doing that. So basically I'm soaking the wood and I'm just going back through and I'm just bending it ever so slowly and slightly. And it works real good. So I think that's my new method. So I'll give that a test in just a minute. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and I'll bend another one just so you can kind of see what I'm saying. But I have to soak the wood first, so it's going to be a few minutes. Okay, so I've just finished soaking some wood. Now, of course, I can't soak whole sections of this. It's just too long a sheet, But I did soak this bit here, which is at the moment what I'm most interested in. But so basically, it is quite wet, and I'm just going to slowly. And I did demonstrate doing this on Halcon, and I think on Victory as well. And it works quite well, even dry. Now I am hearing some fibers tear, but they're not breaking, and that's the important thing. But you can see, it's bending pretty good. And, I feel like this is what I'm going to use from now on, this method, because while doing it, trying to bend it dry is effective, it does work. You do risk breaking pieces, and I have broken my fair share of pieces. But when you start messing around with extreme heat like this, while this might be a preferred method, and it does work, it's dangerous, at least in my opinion. I'm accident prone to begin with. I might go back to it just to test it out some more. But I feel like for me, this is the method that's going to work for me. And that's a pretty severe bend, and because it is wet, it can be bent further. See, you can really bring that around. So it works. It's not broken. I think that's the way to go. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. So I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and start planking this, and we'll go from there. Oh, I did want to explain one more thing. The planking that you're putting on actually goes up to the cannon port door. I don't like that rough edge being right there. So I'm putting wooden frames around each of the cannon port doors. I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring that up and we'll show it. Because I feel like that sort of makes it all, nice and smooth and rounds it off well. It's not in the instructions. I'm sure it's not called for, but I like it. It's a little extra work, but it's worth the effort. Also, and I will put some links up, or I'll even show some photos, I am going to start ordering parts real soon. The dead eyes, for instance. These are the dead eyes it came with. And you'll say, well, they could work. That is the thinnest sheet of wood I've ever seen to use for something like dead eyes. So this is not going to be used by me. However, I was able to use this as a measuring tool to tell me what scale or what gauge of deadeye to go with Turns out 8mm is what I want. So I've been searching. I tried a couple of times to make my own, and with some varying success. I haven't drilled the holes yet. I got 3 of these. I'm not going to make them though, because for every one that comes out okay, I make 4 or 5 that are just hideous. And while I don't have a lathe, I think that would make life a lot easier. But I did find, and again, I'll put up some links and some pictures. I did find some wonderful links to on AliExpress as well as eBay, I think, where I can buy all the dead eyes and all the block and tackles and all the cannon barrels and accessories that I want. Downside is I need 120 dead eyes minimum. 120 that I can see. I think there might be a couple more here and there. You get 20 per bag at roughly $7 a bag. I'm looking at spending around $40 just in dead eyes. I'm not against that. I think that's the way to go. They look better. They're a lot nicer and cleaner. Whereas, you make your own, unless you have a lathe or the proper tools, which I don't have, this is as good as it's going to get. So I'm ordering. I'm going to order some new cannon barrels. I found out that I'll have to show the link. I forget what size barrels need to be. Also, block and tackles, an anchor. That's something like 51mm long. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that, but I'll put up some pictures and some links, and we'll move on to doing a little bit of planking, and we'll be back. Okay, so I did a little bit of work. I jumped ahead a little bit. I got some planking on. This is a tricky one because there's a lot of sweeping to the hull. It goes up, it curves in. So I found that I liked the idea of planking around the cannon ports, and keeping that line, that curve to it. So it's done on both sides that way. And then I started working my way down the hull. You can see I'm making some progress. There'll be some filler pieces because of the way that the lines want to move. Another problem I've run into, and you can kind of see it. Let me get a flat piece of wood here as a reference. Some of these ribs, I don't think they're cut quite right, or they weren't cut right when they were being made. they're in the right order, but this rib almost seems as wide as this rib, which is nowhere near as wide as this rib. So you can see it completely skips. Like, you can't get the planking to touch this rib. And if you do, it creates a dip in the planking, and it's very unattractive. There is a good 1.5 2 millimeters between this straight edge and this rib, in relation to these two. So I'm putting in filler pieces so that I have something to glue to. I don't know if there's any other way to do it. So if you're building this kit, you may run into that problem because it seems to be the same on this side as well. So I know it's not the way that I assembled it. I know that's not the problem. And you can see this piece is sticking up here, because I glued it on the front. I'm just waiting for that glue to dry so that I can start bending it in place. Another thing I did is I planked this whole section here, leaving this space open for the rudder, because that's what the instructions call for. Let me dig that out and I'll show you. So we got the instructions here. Yeah, this one right here. You can see that they left an opening for the rudder. Now, there's no measurements to this. There's no measurements of, how big that opening should be. Again, the instructions are, while I appreciate that they're color, they're photographs instead of drawings, they're lackluster at best. There's no real detail in these instructions at all. Um, but I am pleased. Like this bit under here, this bit here, like I don't know what they call this, the captain's quarters or whatever. That's the only image you get of that. They don't explain how you achieve that. They don't explain when you should do it. Just that it's there and you should do it this way. So the instructions, they have their flaws. And the kit itself for sure has its flaws. I'm running into all kinds of problems with, again, fitment, spacing, things like that. And again, I know that I could be partly the problem. Builder error with me it's a constant thing. So I just do the best I can, and usually my results are pretty good. And I have no doubt that's what's going to happen here. So I just wanted to show this before we sign off on this video. It's getting there. The progress is really good. What I'll do between the end of this video and the next video, which should go up in about 2 weeks, I'll get more planking done, maybe even finish it. I don't know. It's going quickly now that I've cut around all the port, cannon ports there. I did it on this side as well. There's a great example. You can see that sweeping motion. It's quite a severe bend. So I wanted to make a straighter bend below this one, so that the planking as they go down, maybe it'll level itself out a little bit. And I'm not going to do any of the planking up here yet because there's a large section that gets built onto the end on the next page. Yeah, this bit here. The back end of the boat. So I'm not going to plank up here until I know what's going on with this. So I think that's it. We've found a method for bending the planks. It's not a perfect method. I still break the odd piece here and there, but wetting it for sure softens it well enough that I can kind of force it into place with this pair of pliers that I have without breaking them completely. So I think that's it. Yeah. Look for the next video. Again, pay attention to the beginning of the video because I did put in a little snippet explaining why there's no parts 1, 2, and 3 to this series. I won't go into detail on that again because I've done that several times on all my newest videos. But pay attention to that. That's why there's no parts 1, 2, and 3. And we're just picking up with part 4 and now this one being part 5. So there we go. I think that's it. And thanks for watching.